Did you know that on Valentine's night in 1968, while couples were sharing candlelight dinners, something strange was happening above Florida? This wasn't a storm, it wasn't fireworks, and it definitely wasn't a plane. Multiple people across the state looked up and saw bright lights in the sky. 3 of them, perfectly still, hovering. Then suddenly, they moved. Not like aircraft, not like helicopters, not like anything that made sense. They stopped midair, changed direction instantly, and made no sound. Some witnesses thought it was military testing. Others thought it was experimental aircraft. But here's the problem. No aircraft in 1968 could hover silently and then accelerate like that. Radar operators that night picked up something unusual, a signal that appeared, moved erratically, and then vanished. And the strangest part? It all happened on Valentine's night. While the world was celebrating love, hundreds of people were staring at the sky, wondering what they were seeing. So what actually happened on February 14th, 1968? Was it secret military technology, mass misidentification, or something we still don't understand? Let's go deeper. When the first report started coming into Florida police stations that evening, dispatchers thought it was a prank. Someone seeing strange lights over Miami, someone over Tampa, someone over Orlando. But then the calls started multiplying. 10 reports, 20, 50, and suddenly it became clear. This wasn't a joke. Hundreds of people across Florida were seeing something. But here's what made this different from other UFO sightings. The witnesses weren't just random people. They were pilots, police officers, Coast Guard personnel, air traffic controllers, people trained to identify objects in the sky, and they were all describing the same thing. The witness accounts. Captain Robert Henderson was flying a commercial flight from Miami to Atlanta that night. He'd been a pilot for 15 years. He'd seen everything the sky could throw at him. Storms, lightning, other aircraft at night. But what he saw at 8:47 p.m. stopped him cold. 3 lights in perfect triangular formation, he later told reporters. Completely motionless. No navigation lights. No sound. He radioed air traffic control. They saw it too, on radar. But here's the strange part. The object on radar wasn't behaving like any aircraft they'd ever tracked. It appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared somewhere else. Instantly. No acceleration, no gradual movement, just teleportation. That's not how radar works. That's not how anything works. Meanwhile, on the ground, 20 miles south, Officer James Mitchell was on patrol in the Florida Keys. He'd pulled over to check on a suspicious vehicle when he noticed his radio crackling with static. Then his car's electrical system started acting up. Headlights dimming, engine sputtering. He looked up, and there they were. 3 brilliant lights, forming a perfect triangle, hovering about 500 feet above the water. I could have thrown a rock and hit it, he said in his official report. That's how low it was. He watched for nearly 5 minutes. The object made no sound, not even a whisper. Then, without warning, it shot straight up. Not gradually, not like a helicopter taking off. It went from hovering to gone in less than a second. Mitchell's hands were shaking when he radioed it in. Dispatch told him he was the 87th person to report the same thing that night. The military response. By 9:30 p.m., someone at the Pentagon was getting nervous. Multiple sightings across an entire state, radar confirmations, commercial pilots reporting near misses. This wasn't just a UFO story anymore. This was a potential threat. Within an hour, 2 F-4 Phantom jets were scrambled from Homestead Air Force Base. Their orders: intercept and identify. Lieutenant Colonel David Preston was the lead pilot. He'd been flying military aircraft for 12 years. He'd done combat missions in Vietnam. He wasn't easily rattled, but what happened next rattled him. His radio crackled. Bogey at your 2 o'clock, altitude 15,000 feet. He looked. There it was. 3 lights. Triangulaire formation. Exactly as reported. He pushed his throttle forward. Mach 1.2. Closing distance fast. But then something impossible happened. The object, if you can call it that, simply moved. Not slowly. Not with visible acceleration. It just shifted position, like changing channels on a TV. One moment, it was ahead of him. The next moment, it was 5 miles to his left. Preston tried again. Same result. Every time he got close, it moved. Finally, after 20 minutes of pursuit, it simply vanished. No gradual departure. No flying away into the distance. It just stopped being there. Preston's gun camera captured the whole thing. But that footage? Still classified. The cover story begins. By midnight, the Pentagon had a problem. Hundreds of witnesses. Commercial pilot testimony. Radar evidence. Military chase footage. They needed an explanation. And they needed it fast. The next morning, newspapers across Florida ran with the official story. Military rocket tests cause UFO scare. The Department of Defense issued a statement. The objects observed over Florida on the evening of February 14th were part of a classified missile test program conducted from Cape Canaveral. We apologize for any confusion or concern this may have caused the public. Simple, clean, case closed. Except the problems with the official story. Rocket tests don't hover. They don't make 90-degree turns. They don't appear and disappear from radar. And most importantly, Cape Canaveral keeps meticulous launch records. According to their official logs, there were no rocket tests on February 14, 1968. The closest launch was a Minuteman II missile on February 7th. A full week earlier, when reporters started asking questions, the official story changed. First it was rocket tests, then it was atmospheric phenomena, then it was temperature inversions causing radar anomalies. But none of these explanations accounted for the visual sightings. None explained why trained pilots couldn't catch up to it. None explained the electromagnetic interference reported by dozens of witnesses. The alternative theories. So if it wasn't rockets, what was it? Theory number 1, secret military technology. Some researchers believe the military was testing experimental aircraft that night. Something so advanced, so classified, that even in 1968, they couldn't admit it existed. Consider this. The State Route 71 Blackbird had its first flight in 1964, but it wasn't publicly acknowledged until 1966. And its full capabilities? Still classified even today. What if there was something even more advanced being tested? Something that could hover. Something that could accelerate instantly. Something that could evade radar. The problem with this theory? We're now in 2026, 58 years later, and we still don't have public aircraft that can do what those objects did. Theory number 2, foreign technology. Could it have been Soviet? In 1968, the Cold War was at its peak. The space race was in full swing. Both nations were developing incredible technology. But if the Soviets had aircraft that advanced, why did they lose the space race? Why did their economy collapse in 1991? Why don't they have such technology today? Theory number 3, atmospheric phenomenon. Ball lightning? Temperature inversions? Marsh gas? These are the explanations skeptics love to use. But ball lightning doesn't maintain a perfect triangular formation. Temperature inversions don't evade fighter jets. Marsh gas doesn't show up on radar. The witnesses today, Robert Henderson, the pilot, passed away in 2003. But before he died, he gave one final interview. "I flew for 40 years," he said. "I've seen every type of aircraft ever made. Weather balloons, satellites, meteors, Venus. I know what those things look like. Why I saw that night. That was something else." Officer James Mitchell is still alive. He's 83 now, living in retirement in Fort Lauderdale. He still tells the story. "People ask me if I still believe I saw a UFO," he says. "I tell them I don't believe anything. I know what I saw. 3 objects, silent, moving in ways that defied physics. Whether it was aliens, military technology, or something else entirely. I don't know, but it was real, and it was there. The unanswered questions. Here's what we know for certain. On February 14th, 1968, hundreds of people across Florida witnessed something unusual. Multiple radar installations tracked it. Military jets pursued it. Trained observers documented it. The official explanation doesn't hold up. The alternative theories all have problems. And 58 years later, we still don't have answers. The military files on the incident, many are still classified. The gun camera footage from the F-4 Phantoms, never released. The radar tapes, lost according to official records. So what really happened? Maybe it was experimental technology so advanced we still can't replicate it. Maybe it was a mass hallucination on an unprecedented scale. Maybe it was something we don't have a category for yet. But here's the thing about the Valentine's night lights. It wasn't an isolated incident. Similar sightings have been reported. Tehran, 1976, 4 phantom encounters. Belgium, 1989 to 1990, triangle wave. Phoenix, 1997, massive craft over Arizona. All with similar characteristics, all officially unexplained, all involving credible witnesses. The pattern suggests something real, whether it's ours, theirs, or something else entirely. That's the question we still can't answer. Because on Valentine's night, 1968, while couples were sharing romantic dinners, something was sharing our skies. Something that challenged everything we thought we knew about physics, technology, and what's possible. And whatever it was, it's still out there,